We mentioned a little bit about the book that is coming out on quarterback, Seth Wickersham, who does a great job, did a lot of New England Patriot-based books, but he has one on quarterbacks. And there is an excerpt in there attributed to Caleb Williams and his dad, where his dad's talking about he didn't want his son to go to Chicago. That's where quarterbacks die. Now, this came out a couple of days ago, and this might be the first time Caleb Williams got in front of the media with OTAs, and he had this to say about that quote.
Through all of, what was, going on, through all of what happened in, last year and previous years, I think that was enticing. I think that was something that was glaring to me, that, I wanted to come here and, be the guy and be a part and be a reason on why, Chicago Bears turn this thing around. So that last thing that was said and all of that, I think was the most important thing, is that I wanted to be here, that I love being here. I love my teammates. I love all the people that got me here.
All right, so that's Caleb Williams. The book is American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, Seth Wickersham of the Mothership. He describes how Caleb's dad, Carl Williams, asked attorneys to find some way to work around the NFL's collective bargaining agreement, exploring signing with the United Football League, and considered publicly ripping Chicago and the Bears just to make sure they didn't draft him. And he says in the book, Chicago is a place quarterbacks go to die. Now, the quote used to be attributed to wide receivers with Chicago. Chicago is where receivers go to die. But here, and the reason why they may have gone to die is that Chicago hasn't had great quarterbacks. Have they had a 4,000-yard passer
Never.
in their history, Paulie?
Never.
The answer is no. You had Jim McMahon, but, Jim was a wonderful college quarterback, and, they ended up winning a Super Bowl. Perhaps you've heard the Bears won a Super Bowl. Haven't dined out on that for a long time. But, they were always defense and running the football. It wasn't where they featured wide receivers and quarterbacks. So I don't know if this is where quarterbacks go to die. This starts in the front office. Who's doing the drafting here? I mean, they haven't drafted. I mean, they reached for Trubisky. He kind of was a good quarterback, but not a franchise quarterback. Who do you have? Give me all the great quarterbacks who played in Chicago. So is that because they walk in? So Patrick Mahomes all of a sudden put on a Bears uniform. Is he not any good? And the answer, that's silly. Of course he is. It's what kind of front office do you have? Who's drafting these players? Not to mention the other players that you have on the roster. Caleb Williams will be fine this year. And they have a really good offensive-minded head coach, and they started to fill out that roster. Now, he needs to make quicker decisions, not hold on to the ball, don't get sacked 60 times, and they should be a playoff-caliber team. But if you look at the list of great quarterbacks they've had, they go to die there, but they weren't meant to live long to begin with, and the wide receivers as well. Now, you don't want to go to Chicago if you're a receiver, because you're not going to play for a good quarterback. Head coaching has been in a state of flux for a long time there. So what kind of stability do you have? And I think that, it's a cheap organization, start at the top. I mean, there's a lot here. But I don't believe that if, put Joe Burrow in Chicago, you're going to tell me he's not any good? That's silly. He would be good. Yes, Paulie.
It is interesting, your angle on this, that you're kind of somewhat defending the Bears franchise and their history and more blaming it on picking the wrong players, because a lot of people think that are almost understanding of Caleb Williams' father being hesitant to want his son going there because of their history without assigning blame to anybody.
Yes. But I look at the front office here. They're the ones who were drafting these quarterbacks. Paulie, give me an idea. Give the audience an idea. When you run down, I'm just saying, Pro Bowl quarterbacks.
Oh, Pro Bowl. I mean, only alternates. Like Mitch Trubisky was a Pro Bowl alternate. Eric Kramer was a Pro Bowl alternate. Kramer's, stat-wise, the greatest single-season passer in Bears history, and he's kind of a journeyman. Cutler had a couple good years, but even he couldn't break 4,000. That's about it.
Yeah, so once again, what are the expectation levels when they're drafting a quarterback? And therefore, the wide receivers, if you don't have a good quarterback, chances are you don't have a good wide receiver. But Caleb Williams, I think it's a great place for him because you have a great coach there. They do have weapons, and I think that they have built an offense around Caleb Williams. Now this is up to Caleb Williams. And, this ratchets up the pressure. When this book comes out, this will resurface. He'll probably have to talk to the media once again. Maybe his dad issues an apology. But this was a palace coup. They were trying to avoid the Chicago Bears. I know he wanted to go to Minnesota, but Minnesota was, fourth pick? They took J.J. McCarthy. The Bears wanted this guy, and they got him.